What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Game On Improve Your Health podcast. Today's podcast journey is being guided by none other than your host, Austin J, or hallucinodream, if you know him from the gaming community, and his lovely wife, Christina, or Christina, if you know her from the gaming community. And today's episode is on rest and recovery and the importance of both. Enjoy the episode. Perfect.
Nailed it.
What a great introduction.
Seriously.
So as I just stated, it's on rest and recovery. For those who don't know, rest, is like sleep.
Sweepy
right?
sweeps.
Sweepy sweeps, according to our little baby child, who can't even say that.
Yeah.
We say that.
Yeah, we say sweepy sweeps and night-night time.
That's right.
Make sure you go to bed on time.
Yeah, you just want to make sure that you get pretty good sweepy sweeps. All right, end of episode. Good. Cool.
Solid.
Sweet.
That was good advice.
No, but the importance of some people, I would say some people don't even recognize the importance of getting good sleep and what a lack of sleep can bring you, as well as recovery. Some people go from 0 to 100. We might have referenced this in some of our past episodes, but people sometimes want to get into a routine so bad that they just start going to the gym, lifting, running, doing cardio, whatever it may be, 7 days a week, and not giving their body any time to recover.
Mm-hmm.
That both of those, lack of sleep and not giving your body any time to recover, is detrimental to not only your health but your journey. And you're not going to last very long because of all the negative side effects that come with both.
Yeah.
So,
you want to start with sleep?
We'll start with sweepy sweeps.
Perfect.
I'm going to go into quickly. I want to go into my personal experience. Years and years and years ago when I was in high school, I would stay up till 3 in the morning playing video games, and I would wake up at 6 to go to school, and I would sleep all through school, and I would always be tired, right, unless I was playing video games. And I believe, I don't know because I can't remember that far back, but I probably was tired playing the video games as well, right? My cognition wasn't 100% there, and I do know that I could not for the life of me figure out why, and this transitions into everything: work, your social life with your family, your friends, and video games, of course, or sports. I couldn't figure out for the life of me why I was so hit or miss every day. So one day I'd be on, I'd be good. The next day I literally just couldn't play the game very well at all, almost as though it was my first time playing the game. And I would say 99% of that was lack of sleep and just poor nutrition, right? So my lack of sleep, it lowers your cognition, your cognitive ability. When you're at a lack of sleep, you're not going to make the best decisions. If you're playing a game where it's decision based, which the games I play are, a lot of games are actually, even during sports or work, you're likely not going to make the best decisions, right? So that didn't dawn on me as something that was impairing my game until later when I started my health and wellness routine. And I noticed the difference when I started my health and wellness routine in 2017. I wasn't playing very many video games, but maybe last year or something, I started playing again. I got beta for a game. I was playing it, and I couldn't even believe how well I was playing the game because I was getting good sleep. I was eating right. I've been working out and running. I've practiced for Spartan races and do all this stuff. I couldn't even believe how well I was playing the game. I was playing better, even with age. So age really means nothing. After 5 years, playing better than I was when I was playing, 40 hours a week, literally when I was in high school and a little bit out of high school. And just recently, obviously, I wasn't playing 40 hours a week. I don't have time to do that, but I was playing way better.
And you were playing at night. So, right? Like you've been playing mainly at night.
And some of it was during the day. So when the baby was just born, I was playing a little bit during the day. But
true, yeah.
I don't think the time difference really has too much to do with it, depending on your, how you.
But also, just like if you're playing at like 9, even like from 9 to like 11, like that's normally like when you start to get tired, right? Because it's nighttime, it's night time. And
sweeps time.
Yeah, and so if you're not so like I can always tell when I don't have a good night's sleep because I'm tired way earlier than if I have a really good night's rest. Then I feel like it's like 9-10 o'clock and I'm still energized, I'm still cognitively there, instead of just being like super tired, not focused, so.
Yeah, having a good night's sleep will really carry later into the day, especially if you are one who does want to play video games at night after, as a way to relax after work or whatever it may be you're doing, school, whatever. I mean, you might want to not have to be tired while you're playing these games, because that'll deter you from really wanting to play, right?
Yep.
Or compete if that's what you have interest in doing. So getting that good night's sleep will definitely help with all of that. I mean, it has major other benefits. I mean, it helps regulate your hormones, it cleans your brain. It's like, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but when you sleep, your brain turns on its little brain washing machine, and it gets rid of all the toxins that are in there. And the body's a magical thing. Yeah. And so I mean, it cleans your brain, which gets rid of brain fog, helps fatigue, helps your cognitive function, everything. Your central nervous system. I mean, everything that's going on in your body. So you do want to make sure you try to get some sleep. Now, I do want to say before you go, well, you say before you forget.
Okay. Well, I just was like, especially after now having a kid, I feel like sleep gets, for me, it's put it in such like a different perspective. Like, do you know how much babies have to sleep? Like, it is insane. Like, I mean, literally for the first couple weeks, like, they sleep 22 like hours out of the day. And like, I mean, like that 2 hours, and when they're up, that 2 hours feels like the longest 2 hours of your life at that time. But
a lot of people don't know that. But if you look at a baby and you're like, oh, I want to have a baby, just let it be known that the babies are boring for a while.
Yeah, they are pretty boring for a while. And but like they literally sleep like 20 to 22 hours out of the day, and it's just because, I mean, their brains are so new and everything is stimulating to them, and so like they get overstimulated, and so the only way that they can combat that is to literally let their mind rest and to go to sleep. And so like when your baby starts getting cranky, like, okay, well, it's because they're starting to get overstimulated and they have to, and they have to take a nap. And so, and it's, you watch it evolve, obviously. Now as being parents, we've watched it go from she would take naps all day to 2 to 3 naps a day, now to 1 to 2 naps a day. And so, and you start to see that they last longer and longer. But like we can even tell, not just in ourselves, but with our daughter, like if she doesn't get, like this morning, she woke up like a terror. Like, it was like 6 a.m. and she was already crying. Like, what are you crying about? You just woke up. But, like, so clearly she didn't have a good night's sleep because she didn't go to sleep until later. So she didn't get a full 12 hours. Yeah, and like, most babies need 10 to 12, like, good hours at night. And again, I mean, every baby is different, just like every person is different. But I don't know. I think it's also, it's almost easier to identify in other people. Like, wow, you haven't had a good night's sleep than sometimes it is in yourself.
I slept 3 hours. Feel great.
Than it is in yourself because you maybe constantly don't feel good, or you just feel like it's normal. And like, just, I mean, sleep deprivation, like, you don't know what sleep deprivation is until you have a baby and you are up all the time, and it's just this exhausting, it's an exhausting experience. And my work suffered, like if I would have had to go right into working after, like, you're having this baby, like, your work suffers, your relationships can suffer, like, we would be arguing more than maybe we would normally because we're just so tired and just so irritable, and on edge that it really affects every part of your life, and it also just affects how you parent, how you have relationships with your significant others or family members, co-workers, because you're going to maybe snap at things that you wouldn't normally have snapped at. So yeah, I mean, sleep, we can always tell when each other hasn't had a good night's sleep.
Seriously. Yeah, sleep deprivation will, it'll start driving irritability, so it will affect everything. I will tell you that when the baby was just born, a couple months after she was born, she was, I was at a lack of sleep, so I was getting irritated at everything she was doing, even though she's just a baby, right? So, and obviously
he's like, this baby is out to get me.
Yeah, and obviously all babies do the same thing, and to an extent, and every parent goes through it. I'm sure every parent goes through a stage of irritation when you're tired, right? I mean, it's just natural human behavior. I mean, there's nothing. So you just got, as long as you recognize it, you can get past it. But sleep deprivation really affects you negatively in many aspects, and that's just some of them. But I mean, it will also help. Now, this is very important during the pandemic, right? We're still in a pandemic. The pandemic keeps going, just won't stop for some weird reason.
Never ends.
But it'll start lowering your immune system, and it'll start jeopardizing your immune system. This is not a time where you want to start sleeping less and less, because your immune system is incredibly important to obviously ward off this pandemic and the variants or whatever is going on. If you watch Loki, but I'm just kidding. But seriously, the variants of the strands or whatever that keep showing up out of nowhere. You want to be as healthy as possible, not only to fight that off, but for your social status, like we said, and just for everyday life, right?
Yep.
One thing I will say too is that, generally speaking, in the past and forever and right now, they say that you need 8 hours of sleep. That's what they say. You need 8 hours of sleep. That's actually not true. So if you are able to function well on 6.5, 7 hours of sleep, don't sweat that you're not getting that extra hour and a half. Because your body, I mean, everybody's body is different. Everybody's mind is different. The way all that works is actually, so when they submitted these, 8-hour rules, it was probably I didn't read any other studies, but it's probably a very controlled study on certain people. So the healthier, geez, you are, the less sleep you're going to feel you need.
Yeah.
So.
Well, right. I mean, so we used to, before the baby came and, ruined our lives, really. She...
Ruined our lives.
Yeah. No, babies are great. But, so we were waking up and going to the gym every morning. So, we were waking up at, not every morning. We'll kind of get into the rest and recovery. But, during the week, we tried to at least go 4 days out of the 5 weekdays, and then we would go on the weekends. So but we would maintain that routine of waking up. So even if we didn't go to the gym that morning, we would still maintain our routine of waking up at between 4:30, 4:45 ish, so we could go to the gym before work. And we weren't getting a full 8 hours. Maybe we would go to bed at we would definitely be asleep by 10, right? Normally.
Yeah, our average was 6.5 hours.
Yeah, and we were we felt great. We weren't sluggish, we would wake up, we would go to the gym, normally fasted, and then we would make breakfast when we got home. And so even our nutrition changed when we started getting into that routine, because then we had time to actually make a real breakfast, right? So we had time to make eggs and a balanced meal, right? Versus just quick grabbing coffee and a packaged breakfast, or whatever. And so when you are waking up, number one, you're getting yourself into a routine. You'll start to find what feels good for you and what doesn't. And so, if you're normally waking up or I guess if you normally get 8 to 10 hours of sleep, which what adult gets 10 hours of sleep? That would be nice. But if you do, and then all of a sudden you start trying to change your routine and you only get 6 hours, like, you're gonna feel tired. Like, that's natural. But I think it's important to, like, try to find a rhythm and a routine, because then your body will get used to it. And it's really just going to be, like, what you feel better doing.
Yeah, you're going to have to wean into a new routine. Just definitely. Like anything else. Just like starting a fitness routine, you have to wean into it, because you're just... Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, like, start slow, you know? I mean, if you're going to try to reduce your hours of sleep, again, try to make sure that your health is as good as possible, and it'll make it much easier.
Yeah. So. Or even, just, like, if you're not necessarily focused on reducing the amount of sleep, because I don't think that should initially really be the goal. It's just is like, if you know that you are more productive in the morning. So, like, when we wake up before 7 or 8 o'clock, like, we have a better start to our day, because that's normally when we go and exercise. We'll take the baby out for a walk. I mean, we still walk mostly every morning, but if we can get an earlier start, she's happier, we're happier. And so, like, for us, that earlier morning routine works better. So, you know, and now we've kind of been able to tailor it that, like, no matter whether we go to bed at 8 o'clock if we're really tired, or we don't go to bed until 10 o'clock, if you get into that routine, my body naturally wakes up around the same time every day, and I feel well rested.
Yeah, you can get your body into a nice rhythm.
Yep.
Once you're into a good routine, and your body recognizes that.
Yep. Except for today, I felt like I got hit by a bus today, but
yeah,
you know, I know I slept.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, and I think that, like, and I think that's where kind of recovery comes in. Like, give yourself the time that you need. Like, there are some days where, like, we let each other sleep in because we need it. Like, and if you're, like, we've been traveling a lot, and so we've been on, like, we went to I don't even know, we've been to Spartan races, we've gone to the West Coast, and so, like, we've really been in this, like, time difference. And it's, like, just really, I feel like, hit me over, like, the last couple days, and then we're leaving again to go somewhere else this weekend, like, right after this. And so we've just have been traveling a lot, and so for me, like, I just needed that. Like, I've been needing, like, a good sleep, and I took it this morning, I guess, so.
Yeah, you did.
I know. I know, the baby was already up taking a nap, and I was just getting out of bed.
Seriously. Crossing paths.
I know. But, you know, again, you have to, like, don't beat yourself up about it, and I think that it's easy to do, especially as, like, parents. We always feel like, or as I always feel guilty if I take some time to, like, sleep in, but I'm a better mom and a better person if I just take that time, because, like, I was not into her this morning. Like, she woke up crying at 6 o'clock, like, whiny baby. And it was like I was
Christina
a whiny
woke
baby.
Up crying like a whiny baby. Yeah. And who had to deal with both of them?
Yeah.
Daddy did. That's right.
And so, you know, but I'm able to be a better partner and mom if I took that time instead of being miserable.
Yeah, and that's just like you said, that's where recovery comes into play too. So they both go hand in hand. So if you're feeling that, you got to take days for recovery.
Yeah.
So if you are starting a routine, or you have a 6-day, or you want to have a 7-day routine, make 2 of those days recovery days, active recovery days. I mean, that can include just walking, going for a very nice, gentle hike, right? Mm-hmm. You can do some yoga.
I feel like people underestimate walking.
I think people underestimate walking a lot. I think a lot of people, because it's not talked about very much. Yeah. But walking is incredibly good for recovery, as well as just health in general, and losing weight, as we've talked about before. But
like, you don't have to be, like, you don't have to, and we can get into this in another episode, but, like, you certainly do not have to, like, be a runner to to be into to get cardio and to, you know, lose weight. So walking is definitely underestimated, for sure.
Correct. But we're talking about recovery.
I know, sorry.
And walking is good for recovery.
Yes, it is.
But you want to recover for, you know, not only to prevent muscle soreness when you're lifting, but also to make sure that your immune system doesn't get hammered and damaged. And especially, again, in a pandemic, you're gonna want to recover because you don't want that immune system jeopardized. And I feel like some people, they force themselves to just, you know, remove the recovery and just keep working at it because they want to see progress so fast. And it's just, the progress will come in time, but if you don't take those recovery days, I mean, if something happens and sets you back, now you're set back. Let's say you get sick for a whole month straight, or you get injured for a whole month straight. You just lost a whole month, and you lost a whole month of progress.
Yep.
So now you're back a month, and you got to restart whatever you have started. Of course, there's muscle memory and whatever, but you're still gonna have a big setback. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Right? Especially if you get sick. Getting sick's definitely not worth it. It's easily preventable.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think like one example of like a recovery that I definitely could have done different. So I ran our first half marathon, my first half marathon. I think I ran it in, I don't know, like 2012 or something.
Oh, the end of the world.
Yeah. And yeah, I want to say it was around then. And my dad roped us all into it. It was like a company event. Whatever. So he roped my whole family into doing it with people from work.
Disclaimer, he didn't actually do it.
He did actually.
That's funny.
Him and I were like the last ones, but we did it. We were like, "Do you want to just?" It was in a city, and we're like, "That breakfast place smells really good. You just want to run there instead?" But we finished it. But so we got home, and I literally remember I immediately just went to bed. I just was like, we woke up early. I was so tired, and I just laid in bed the rest of the day. And then I think the entire day, the next day, I don't know, I was probably 18, and I just didn't do a darn thing. I was like, man, that was my week's worth of exercise. And so then I didn't do anything the rest of the week. And I think that a lot of people fall into that trap of well, I went really hard, but then when you go really hard, then you crash, right? Then your whole body hurts, and then you don't feel like doing anything. But then I ran half marathons years later, and then the next day I stayed active. I did active recoveries. So whether it was walking or I did a lighter gym session, because really you're not doing anything with your arms during a half marathon. Going like this, but it's not like you're, in a Spartan race where you're doing these heavy major obstacles. And so my recovery was so different, and I felt so much better afterwards because I stayed in this active recovery stage instead of going from 100 to 0. And so, yes, recovery is good. You need to let your body rest, but you also feel better when you maintain some sort of activity level. So even if it's just going for a walk, it loosens up your muscles. You don't lose, for me, the biggest thing is to not lose my mental motivation. And I think that's why people are afraid to do rest days. I think that especially if you're especially if you're in if you're really trying to get into a routine, for some people, the second they give themselves a day off, it's like how we always talk about a cheat day for nutrition, right? When you set it up it's a cheat day, then now you're on a week of cheating. And it just spirals you out of control. So I think a controlled active rest day is important to switch that mindset of it's not like you're stopping your routine, you're just changing it that day.
Yeah, that is definitely mindset related. So the rest days and recovery needs to be incorporated for all the reasons that we just listed. And that is literally part of the routine. So if you're going to keep a routine, you want to maintain a routine, you can't look at it as though you're not doing activity that day. You are recovering, and you are making sure that your body is ready for the next lifting session or the next running session.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't. That's totally mindset related. You absolutely cannot look at it as though you are losing a day, because you're not.
Yeah.
And those days are significantly more important, as we just stated, than the actual days of doing the work, because doing work will only get you so far if you don't recover.
Yep.
Right? An example that I have, I'll just use this Spartan race season already, was a great example. First Spartan race at the beginning of June, I raced the 3 Spartan races. It's that half marathon. It wasn't even a mountain. And then the 10K and the 5K. So half marathon Saturday, 10K, 5K Sunday. That was the worst I've ever felt. Christina here said I literally looked like death on wheels. She said it's the worst she's ever seen me recover, and it truly was. And I will tell you, leading up to it, I didn't properly hydrate. I didn't eat proper, and my sleep, I do not think was very. I don't think my sleep that week was good, and I felt it, and it was awful. And I just sat down the whole weekend afterwards. To an extent, we did a little bit of walking, but as much as if I could sit down, I was sitting down. And that was bad, right? So, and then, I literally felt awful. It took so long to recover from that. It literally took me like a week, which generally doesn't happen for me. Like a week before I wanted to run again. Even light runs. Now, I just did one a month later. I did another one on a mountain. Trifecta weekend, all 3 races once again on a mountain at elevation on the West Coast. And I changed everything. I figured that was a lot of.
Before that.
I did one a week before. Yeah, so I did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the 2 weeks.
So you did.
I did one mountain.
Yep.
And then I did one mountain, 2 races
on the East Coast.
On the East Coast, and then I went to elevation the following week and did a trifecta, 3 races at elevation. I was worried about the elevation, but anyways, I changed my recovery, or I changed my routine, because I knew that how I treated the first race weekend was absolutely the reason why I didn't recover.
Yeah.
Wasn't because I wasn't training very well. It was, which that had some slight, it was slightly.
That for sure.
Yeah, but it was more my nutrition, my sleep, and my hydration. So I made sure that I did that the week leading up to, the couple weeks leading up to the last race weekend that I did, and I could tell you, I literally felt the best that I've ever felt.
Yeah.
And I recovered very well. I was able to, I ran. We didn't run, but we walked a bunch on Monday after all of that. I made sure I was just constantly moving all Saturday, constantly moving the rest of Sunday, and then, of course, we walked Monday and Tuesday. But I recovered. I didn't feel nearly as sore for as long. I recovered very well. And it's so, you just really have to, you really just have to pay attention to yourself. And everybody's different, of course, but you got to pay attention to what you're putting in your body. And if you can't remember that far back or whatever, and I couldn't tell you what I ate or how much I drank leading up to the first race, but I can tell you it wasn't enough. Now, if you need, just write it down. Like, if you need to, write it down.
Yeah.
Like, write down what you're drinking, what you're eating leading up to it. And then if you feel bloated during that, especially if you're competing, if you feel bloated during that weekend or whatever, then you can reduce, some of the nutrients that you're intaking, right? Or change them up, not reduce them, right? Change it up. Maybe drink a little less water. Maybe you're drinking too much water. This and that. So writing it down.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be trial and error.
Yeah, I'm by no means a professional in, nutrient intake, and like, I don't count calories or do all that. I don't actually count anything. I just eat to feel, and I just feel how I feel, right? So are there better ways for me to be able to do that for myself, especially since I'm competing? Yeah, probably, but I don't do that. I usually just do trial and error as of right now. So. Yeah. That's a huge learning curve if you really want to go that route.
Yeah.
Like a very, very massive learning curve. And it's very, very tough to do, I think, personally. So if you want to go that route, I would recommend maybe hiring somebody like a nutritionist, registered dietitian, sports nutrition, like certified person, which I am, by the way. But I don't do it for myself. Okay?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and,
And just get that help.
Yep. No, definitely. And, Yeah, I mean, just to go back to, like, your point, that first race back, again, I mean, it was a trifecta, so, I mean, you run, like, about 30 miles in one weekend and do over 60 obstacles total, you know, right?
Yeah, it's like 20, 30, yeah. So 50, 60, 70, it's about 70 to 80 obstacles, yeah.
Yeah, and so he definitely, like... It was the worst it was the worst I ever saw him.
Yeah,
like,
it was brutal.
And, I mean, even, like, the week after, like, I mean, was sleeping in all the time, like, just was exhausted and just could not recover. And I definitely think that sometimes you have to, like, it is good to give yourself that time to rest, but then there also comes a point where you almost have to force yourself out of that. Like, you have to know your body and you have to know your limitations, and it is all trial and error. But I think that you would have felt better if you would have just gotten yourself back into a routine.
For sure.
Instead of totally giving in to the feeling that you were exhausted. And so there's definitely a balance. And again, it is going to be trial and error. Always consult, like a trainer, a nutritionist, a medical professional. If you do have, like if you are really struggling, definitely consult somebody. But there is a lot to be said about listening to your body and even just trying things, like trying to get into a lighter routine. Nobody's saying go like, hey, if you're really tired and you've been tired for a week, go run a Spartan race. That will, like, don't kick yourself into that type of routine. But just
not a good idea.
Yeah, like a lot of it is mindset as well. I think Joe DeSena or somebody, I think it was him, like the whole point of Spartan races is that your mind wants to give up long before your body does. And so it is, so much of it is mindset.
I think it was him. Yeah, I think that was in one of his books.
Yeah,
He's the creator and founder of Spartan Race, by the way.
Yeah. He has a podcast. He has a bunch of books. I listened to his podcast. We've read some of his books. Like, a super motivational guy. He's an entrepreneur. Really awesome guy if you ever want to listen to his podcast. But I think we've learned a lot from just the Spartan in general, just about mindset, which has been really helpful and really has helped just kind of our overall fitness and nutrition journey.
Yeah, it's always going to be a learning curve. There's always new stuff to learn. So
yeah. And you have to listen to your body.
Yeah.
We've
said that in another episode. I'm positive
we've probably said it every episode.
Yeah.
You have to listen to yourself. And then just ask for help. Don't be afraid to talk to other people. Education is, I think, key to, we've talked about,
education is key to everything.
Yeah. To just, you're always learning. There's always new things to learn. There's always new research. Like what was good 10 years ago isn't good now, right? Like they used to tell you, you have to drink milk, and then milk became water, and and then it just, so there's always new things that are coming out, new studies. So it's important to just, if you don't want to do all the research yourself, find good, reliable sources that you can count on, like podcasts or books to help, or nutritionists, fitness, trainers to help you along the way.
Absolutely. So. Ask for help. Make sure you get enough rest. And make sure you listen to your body and recover. Yep. All right. I think we're going to wrap the episode up there.
I think so.
Thank you for those who have tuned in and listened. If you have any questions on anything. We just look like
we're like floating right now.
I know. Yeah, so we're still on our mobile setup, but if you have any questions on anything you heard, by all means, you can send us a message on any one of our social media or the website. If you're watching live on Twitch or YouTube, over here on the left. If you're on the podcast platform, it will be in the description. We will be back next week. The July 28th.
Holy moly.
at 9 p.m. Eastern. I know July's flying.
I know.
With a follow-up question and answer, so we'll answer any questions that come in. And, yeah, so thanks for listening, and we hope to see you guys there.
Bye.